Binance has announced plans to discontinue all services related to the Nigerian naira. Binance, a cryptocurrency exchange platform, was accused of exploiting the Nigerian currency, leading to its free fall in value. The company is, in addition, facing allegations of terrorism, financing, money laundering and tax evasion, among others. The company, in a statement on Tuesday, advised users to withdraw Nigerian naira, trade their Nigerian naira assets, or convert it into crypto. It was earlier reported that the federal government detained at least 2 senior executives of Binance. The arrest came amidst efforts by the government to rein in speculations on the naira by cracking down on cryptocurrency exchanges. Now, joining me on the news to discuss this is President Stakeholders in Blockchain Technology Association of Nigeria, that's CBAN, Obinna Iwuno. Good morning, Obinna. Thank you so much for joining me on the news.
Good morning, Dasha. Thank you for having me.
All right, so it's a pleasure. So first of all, Obinna, do you think Binance's decision to halt naira services will impact cryptocurrency users and the traders in Nigeria?
I do not think so. There have been cryptocurrency users and traders ever before Nigeria. Binance came into Nigeria. And even after Binance came in, there had been other more digital asset exchanges that has been established after Binance. So I don't think Binance exit is going to impact the ecosystem. Yes, though Binance is the biggest crypto exchange in Nigeria and globally, but it's not really going to have that kind of impact, I suppose.
All right, so but what about investor confidence? Do you think that the crackdown by the government would actually affect investor confidence in the cryptocurrency market?
Of course, if it is not managed well, it will affect investors' confidence. And when we're talking about investors' confidence, we are not just talking about the local investors. We are talking about the international community. One of the things that we need to, come to fact with is that cryptocurrency is an innovation. It's a technology. What we should be really looking at is not the byproduct itself, cryptocurrency, but the technology, blockchain. Cryptocurrency is a unit in a sector inside blockchain technology. That's how big blockchain is. So in blockchain, we have a sector known as digital assets. And inside these digital assets, cryptocurrency falls under digital currency, which is a unit of digital assets. The reason why cryptocurrency is being touted all along and all this while is because cryptocurrency was the first implementation of blockchain technology through Bitcoin, which is the first cryptocurrency. And because it deals with the financial aspect and the opportunity for you to make gain by investing in it, it makes it more popular than the other aspects of blockchain technology. And yet it is like one of the most minute aspects of blockchain technology. There is so much more that blockchain can be used for that would even have even greater impact in human life and the economy at large than cryptocurrency. And I think this is the major reason that informed the government to have to develop a national blockchain policy for Nigeria, which was launched in 2023. We started that work of the national blockchain policy way back in 2020. So it's a work that took over 2 years to complete. And then it was launched, and a national implementation and steering committee was inaugurated, by the administration of former President Muhammad Buhari. And the CBN, the SEC, the NSA, the EFCC, and different government parastatals are all members of this steering committee, including my association, CBAN, which is the Blockchain Industry Association. We are all members of this national steering committee, 29 members in all nationally. And you can see that we need to find a way to manage these things well. There are also local players in the industry, right, who can carry out this businesses.
Okay, now talking
What
about,
we are asking
local
is,
players, Obinna, talking about local players,
yeah.
and other services of blockchain technology. Well, you did say that this would not affect or impact cryptocurrency, the use of the naira services. That's the halt in the naira services will not impact the cryptocurrency users. I would like for you to actually go ahead and share with us some of the alternative platforms or strategies that are actually available for Nigerians to actually use after Binance discontinues their services. That's their naira services.
that would be like a direct advertisement for platforms. But what I would say is that there are a number of other platforms that offer the same services as Binance, all right, that are available in Nigeria and operate in Nigeria, and even foreign platforms also that operate in Nigeria alongside Binance. I think 2 weeks ago, we had reports in the media that the government has restricted access to crypto platforms. Some of the ones, especially Binance, then a few others were reported like Coinbase, Kraken, and the rest of them. And people also reported having issues trying to access those platforms online. So it's not, the government is aware of all of these platforms, I think. But the reason why I feel that Binance is in the news is because they are the biggest, not just in Nigeria, but globally also. All right. And Binance has been in the news all over the world, for a couple of things, So that's by the way. What we are talking about here, most importantly, is that we need a regulation for the industry. The CBN last year, December, lifted the ban on crypto transactions with financial institutions and released guidelines for banks to be able to offer financial transactions to crypto companies. So you can see that there is a disconnect between what is happening now and what was said in December. And I don't think that the government is trying to go back on its word. I feel that what the government is doing is that the government is trying to ascertain certain level of risk that may have come to their attention and to find a way to mitigate against it. But one thing that is important is that we have a global local industry here. Nigeria accounts for over 60%
all
of
right,
the adoption rate.
you actually said that the government is trying to mitigate certain risks, even though so many Nigerians have actually stood against what the government is doing as regards Binance right now. Are you saying that the government's regulatory stance on Binance aligns with broader cryptocurrency regulations in Nigeria?
There is no cryptocurrency regulation in Nigeria yet.
Okay.
What we have is already guidelines for regulations, but there is no crypto regulation that has been implemented widely anywhere in Nigeria that I know of.
Okay, so what about globally? I do not know of
anyone that has been implemented, because as it is now, no crypto organization or company has been issued a license to operate, and you cannot have a regulation without licensing. Licensing precedes regulation. In fact, the only reason why you get a license is because there is a regulation,
All right. Well, thank you so much, Obinna Iwuno, for joining me and speaking on this. We appreciate you for your time.
Thank you, Dashin.
All right, with that, we move to Nigeria. Still in Nigeria, where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has intercepted 21 food trucks heading to neighboring countries. Announcing the seizure in a statement on its X handle on Tuesday, the anti-graft agency said the items were heading towards Chad Republic, Central African Republic, and Cameroon. It said the seizure was made by operatives of the EFCC Maiduguri Zonal Command. The statement added that the trucks were intercepted in a sting operation at major exit routes along Kalabiri, Gamboru Ngala and Bama roads in Borno State. The looting of a government warehouse containing grains in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, has continued to generate reactions. Some residents in the capital who spoke to News Central say the incident paints a bleak picture on expectations for the future, adding that if nothing is done to address the current hardship, citizens would prepare for the worst. Our correspondent, Marvelous Obomanu, tells us more.
In economy, scarcity of food due to insecurity and high cost of food items in the market, many say surviving in Nigeria today is a miracle. While those who belong to the wealthy class may not feel the bite, others are resorting to self-help. An example is the recent looting of a government warehouse in Nigeria's capital, Abuja.
If the government does not do the needful, if you don't, provide security for lives and property of the people in the villages, in the communities, even around the FCT, for people to farm in confidence and in safety, there's more hunger brewing and there's more looting going to happen. But I do hope it doesn't get out of hand.
It's not time for promises, it's time for action. Now we are seeing attacking warehouses, attacking lorries carrying food and all of that. That is just the beginning. Because when desperate people are pushed to the wall, they don't have any other thing but to push back. So what we are seeing is a pushback on the people. People are hungry. People are losing their jobs every day. The economy is not getting better. So what do you expect people to do?
These are abnormal times. So anything I see, anything you see now, anybody who acts abnormally, you somehow will not want to blame the person because the person is hungry. The person is not thinking with his right senses. And if the government doesn't do anything to arrest what is going on right now, I think worse will happen.
Although the actions of the looters are inexcusable, some still blame government, saying citizens can no longer bear the hunger being witnessed.
The government needs to wake up. It's almost a year gone into this administration and nothing is on ground to show that there is every seriousness to arrest, an impending doom in terms of hunger and deprivation. A country that is as endowed, right, in every wise, has to go through this mess.
The looting in the Federal Capital Territory recently is a clear indication that there is hunger in the land. People are becoming increasingly desperate. This is not a doomsday prophecy, but if the government fails to address the issue of hunger, like many say, the Gwagwa buggling could be a foretaste of what may happen soon. The signs are not good. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
Thank you, Marvelous, for that report. Now, the Nigerian Customs Service says it has commenced the sale of about 120 arrested trucks of smuggled food items to citizens in need. The Comptroller General of the service made this known during an engagement with relevant stakeholders and lawmakers in the nation's agriculture, saying that it is acting under directive from President Bola Tinubu. Idong Joseph reports.
The legislative business of the day commenced with the House first considering petitions laid before it and motions of urgent national importance. Then followed the entrance of relevant stakeholders in Nigeria's agricultural sector for a third dialogue on food production and resolving the nation's hunger crisis.
Collective effort must focus on addressing both demand and supply factors along with the persistent challenge of food price inflation. Through thorough analysis, I have identified 4 critical levers for improving food security.
Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture says that the present food scarcity is as a result of insecurity, the COVID-19 pandemic, smuggling of foodstuff out of the country, and the naira redesign policy of the last administration.
There are other issues that have affected agriculture. Case in point, COVID in 2020 had a great impact worldwide, not only to Nigeria. We also, in 2022, I would like to downplay that, but it was a fact that the policy of the naira redesign had an impact on the local rural farmer who didn't have access to cash.
Also, the Comptroller General of Nigeria's Customs Service informed lawmakers of the service resolve to stop smuggling of foodstuff out of the country. He says that foodstuff confiscated from arrested trucks are now being diverted to local markets and sold to vulnerable persons at reduced prices,
which has resulted in the seizure of over 120 trucks across different border stations and border areas in the country. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has directed that we should dispose of this item through direct sales to vulnerable Nigerians. We have kicked off this exercise in some parts of the country, and we believe that very soon we will get to other parts.
Lawmakers urged all present to continue to put in their best to cushion the effects of the scarcity on citizens. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
Residents of Maiduguri are facing double setback of scorching heat wave with widespread of power outage that have seen many areas experience total darkness for days. Now, these concerns have led to an outcry from the relevant authorities by residents battling with the double tragedy. News Central's Umaru Kirawa assesses the situation and now reports.
The Emergency Power Project, a gas plant, has been the major source of power in the city, which was largely seen as a relief to all. This was as a result of persistent breaking down of the sources of electric power by insurgents. It is 5 days now, and public electric has not blinked. This is raising a lot of questions on the lips of many residents. University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital is one major area of concern to the citizens.
In the past, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital was the pace setter in health services, in healthcare development services delivery. So I don't know over the years what happened to the University of Maiduguri that the services are deteriorating. Only recently, fees were raised, the rates were raised, far skyrocketed far above the means of those who rush to the hospital to obtain healthcare services from all directions. Coupled with the fact that, just consider the economic situation of the country.
While it is commendable to witness the improvement in the over 1,000 bed capacity hospital facility with different centers dedicated for different ailments, questions about the sudden change in the cost of their services remains a cause for concern.
What is happening now when you go there now, there's no light and many patients are crying and some people are without their patients to another state hospital. All we know that we are appealing to federal government, let them do something on them. Because many of them are suffering. So we are appealing to federal government, let them do better thing for them.
All these utilities, electricity, water, they are not supposed to be in short supply. The teaching hospital must not, for less than a minute, have any power failure. Must not. A teaching hospital of this standing.
This video showed how the hospital is battling with the power outage, which requires swift response. I tried to reach the chief medical director of the hospital, but he was said not to be on seat. Perhaps the complaint of lack of adequate funding by the CMD during the 40th anniversary of the hospital months ago might be the cause of the ugly situation in the hospital.
NEPA have increased their tariffs. Sometimes our NEPA bill in a month will reach like 39 million. And our IGR, the whole of it is no more than 40 million. So you don't have money to buy any other. So funding, power, we all know the importance. The generators, we all know the 2 years that we went through without electricity in Maiduguri. We were spending virtually 60, 70 million in a month for 10-hour electricity. So funding is the major thing. I think governments should look at really the effect of the fuel subsidy. I think some of it can be also, the reliefs can go to healthcare.
The residents of Maiduguri, however, hope that their concerns will be addressed promptly by the government so that normalcy can be restored with effective healthcare for citizens. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The federal government of Nigeria has set up zonal public hearings across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country for the review of the national minimum wage. The hearings are scheduled to hold in the northeast, Yola, northwest, Kano, north-central, Abuja, south-south, Uyo, southeast, Enugu, and southwest, Lagos. The Southwest Zonal Public Hearing is to be chaired by Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Laden. A statement issued by Head Press and Public Relations Unit of the Ministry of Finance said the Southwest Zonal Public Hearing will be held at the LTV Blue Roof Arena, Agidingbi, Ikeja, Lagos on March 7, 2024. Now, according to the statement, the session aims to gather insights and recommendations to inform a fair and sustainable minimum wage policy reflecting the engagement and contributions from various stakeholders in the region. And let's also tell you that the United Arab Emirates is yet to resume visa services for Nigerian citizens wishing to visit the country. Several news outlets had reported that the UAE on Monday, that's on March 4th, lifted the visa restriction on Nigerian travelers, but Bayo Ononuga, special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on information and strategy, refuted the viral document in an update on his X page. In October 2022, the UAE implemented a ban on citizens from approximately 20 African nations from entering its borders. Among the affected countries are Nigeria, Uganda, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Sudan, Cameroon, Liberia, Burundi, Republic of Guinea, Gambia, Togo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Senegal, Benin, Ivory Coast, Congo, Rwanda, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Comoros, and the Dominican Republic. The recent visit by Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu to Qatar has brought much expectations from the Nigerian business community. While Nigeria and Qatar have had their own fair share of trade in the last few years, citizens will be hoping that President Tinubu's visit will yield inflow of direct foreign investment to Nigeria. Amading Uyi gives us an overview of events that played out in the Gulf state of Qatar.
Well, my responsibility this afternoon is to tell you, the Qataris, that Nigerians are your friends. Open for business. Open for honest partnership.
A loud and bold statement from Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu during his recent visit to the Gulf state of Qatar. With Qatar having the 4th highest gross domestic product per capita in the world, ranking 47 in the Human Development Index worldwide, and taking the number 3 spot in the Arab world, Qatar can be regarded as a major economic power in the Middle East. Thus, the visit by Nigeria's president to Qatar came with much expectations. Qatar is rated as a high-income economy. It has the 3rd largest reserves of oil and gas in the world. It is also the largest exporter of liquefied natural gas in the world. The presidential team started with a business forum. We saw the signing of historic agreements between both nations.
The business forum, as you know, is quite significant because it's not just to introduce the businessmen, but it's for us to forge relationships and partnerships for investment opportunities, for progress, for cooperation, for cultural interchange, and for every other thing that makes us human.
Economic relations motivate mutual investment so as to benefit us all and achieve the aspirations of both friendly countries of development and prosperity. This is an important platform to discuss various economic areas of common interest and to review the different capabilities and different trade, investment, and economic sectors in both Qatari and Nigerian markets, as well as supporting and encouraging the business sector in both countries to develop and diversify partnerships and open new horizons of cooperation to support development efforts.
The president also during a bilateral meeting assured the business community in Qatar that Nigeria remains the go-to investment destination.
To assure you that the country as a whole, of over 240 million people, is ready and anxious to welcome you and your investment with open arms and open mind, to assure you that your investment is safe in our hands.
With Nigeria and Qatar having its own fair share of trade in the last few years, it is hoped that the agreements reached will herald a new era of cooperation by both countries, creating business opportunities for citizens. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Emotions were high as family, friends, and associates gathered to celebrate the life of Chizoba and Chizi Wigwe, the wife and son of the late Group Managing Director of Access Holdings, Herbert Wigwe. The event took place at the Echo Hotel in Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Among the dignitaries present were Jimmy Odukoya, Senior Pastor, Fountain of Life Church, and Ian Adams, Senior Director, Africa Finance Corporations. Chizoba, alongside her husband and son, died in a helicopter crash on February 9, 2024 in the United States on their way to attend the Super Bowl 58 championship in Las Vegas.
I never thought I would compete with the Lord and that he would go home before all of us. So in my time, the struggle was not when he will leave the AFC team, but how long we can keep him. And I would even gesture to him, you know, you're not ready to go to your dad yet. Well, Tochi's there, so don't worry. And that was a selfish motive.
How great a light he was, and hopefully his life inspires us to want to do better. I'm reminded of a saying. It says, when you are born, you cry, while everybody else rejoices. Live your life in such a way that when you die, you rejoice while everyone cries. One thing is certain, life is short, death is certain, and heaven is for real. What would we do with the time that we have left?
The news continues in North Africa, where in a provocative move likely to strain already tense relations, Algeria has allowed the establishment of a representative office for separatists seeking independence in Morocco's Northern Reef region. A video circulated on social media showed that establishment of a representative office, which the Algerian regime dubbed as the Reef Republic for separatist activists from Morocco. The video showed members of the Reef National Council and affiliates of the Reef National Party, along with a speech on the occasion about the struggle of the Reef region, which included raising the flag of the Reef Republic to the tune of the Reef National Anthem.
المسار السياسي والدبلوماسي الذي يعمل عليه الحزب الوطني الريفي لبناء علاقات أخوية متينة مع الشعوب الأخرى إقليميا ودوليا. الوطني الريفي حينما تأسس كانت له أهداف. أولا دفاع الشعب، قضايا الشعب الريفي وهمومه تحت الاستعمار المغربي، ثم الهدف الأسمى وهو الاستقلال. هذه من مسلمات ومبادئ الحزب الوطني الريفي.
Let's move to southern Africa, where authorities in Malawi say 6 people died and 4 were injured from last week's flash floods in the central part of the country. The Department of Disaster Management Affairs says over 14,000 people have been displaced, with most of them now staying in camps. The areas affected by the floods are still inaccessible due to the extensive damage caused by roads and other infrastructure. This has also hampered the delivery of aid, with humanitarian workers mostly relying on boats to reach affected areas. The agency has appealed for more help from individuals, companies, and aid organizations to support government's efforts to provide relief. It comes just a year after hundreds of Malawians were killed after tropical storm Freddy ripped through southern Africa. To explore how local data can be leveraged to support local communities, the South African Human Sciences Research Council and National Treasury, together with its United Kingdom's office, will participate in the launch of a community of practice that will be held in the Pretoria from 12th to 13th March 2024. Now, the community of practice aims to generate new knowledge and facilitate the exchange of ideas to strengthen the economic performance of South African cities. Its purpose is also to widen the circle of researchers, policymakers, and practitioners interested in the economy of cities by building a vibrant network of enthusiasts and experts. The launch workshop will, among others, discuss and share best practice to effectively deliver local data insights, including the use of administrative data, and introduce alternative methods and techniques to measure local economies. Now, to further discuss this, I'm being joined by Senior Research Specialist in Human Sciences Research Council, Dr. Justin Bisag. Hello, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure to be on the call.
All right, now, Doctor, perhaps let's start with what this launch is all about and what exactly it entails. Can you provide an overview of the specific data being collected and analyzed to understand city economies?
Sure. So I think before I start to talk about the data, I think it's important just to emphasize that cities are sometimes underappreciated in national economic policies and plans. But the reality is that there's always an economic logic behind why people and why cities are so important and so vibrant for economic development. A firm can access local markets, importance of skills and labor in the particular area, the importance of infrastructure, which gets shared amongst different firms. So that concentration of people is really important for productivity. And this is a phenomenon around the world, that cities are sort of engines in the heart of economic development. That's not to say that rural areas aren't important, but they have different roles to play, and hence the importance of particular policy focus on getting our cities to be as productive as possible.
All right, Doctor. Now, but how is the data for inclusive and vibrant city economies gathered and verified? I'm talking about the analysis or the kind of analysis tools and methodologies that are to be used to interpret the data on city economies.
It's a great question. And one of the things that often holds back analysis at the city level is a lack of data. In the South African case, we have excellent social and household surveys, such as our big census, which took place only recently. But when it comes to the firm side and the economy side, often this is lacking. And without that fine-grained data, that spatial data, it's very difficult for our big cities, known as metropolitan municipalities, so for our big metros to plan to be productive when they don't know the basics of the what and the where of jobs and investment. So the program that we've been launching and we've been involved in is actually looking to other sources of information, in particular tax records, as an administrative source which we can mine and then assemble the sort of fine-grained information which provides economic indicators at both the suburb and the city level. So we're really excited about basically this new world of big data for us to then leverage people's tax returns and then spatialize it so that city officials and other administrators and practitioners have an evidence base from which to start making economic decisions for their regions and their municipalities.
All right, Prof, but is it possible for you to share any key insights or even trends that have emerged from analyzing the data on city economies? Can you share that with us?
Sure. I mean, I think one of the big highlights is despite the pressures that our cities are under in terms of migration and urbanization, many people crowding into cities because that's where the opportunities are. Despite all of that competition, you still find that a person has a higher likelihood of accessing a job opportunity in a city compared to a rural area. And so that's the message then is we need to be proactive about the potential of cities. Yes, it's a challenge as people crowd in, but there's also an economic opportunity and an economic logic. So can we rather support this urbanization process rather than seeing it as a problem? And the second overall message I would highlight is that we also need to understand that different places have different roles to play, right? So it's not expected that a small rural village can compete in manufacturing in the same way in which your big urban center might, right? But that rural village could develop a specialization in tourism, for instance, and agriculture would be, again, another obvious competitive advantage that sort of place would have. So it's not about, it's about finding a way that all different sorts of places and spaces can thrive and each have a particular economic niche. And so we're excited about this program because getting better data about cities and regions allows us then to support that specialization so that everywhere can develop to its potential.
All right, well, thank you so much, Professor Justin Visag, Senior Research Specialist in the Human Sciences Research Council, for your in-depth analysis and enlightenment on this. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Now, in other news from around the world, Donald Trump has promised to take back America after dominating the Super Tuesday primary contests. Speaking at the Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, the former president declared that it was a day he had been waiting for. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden largely sailed through the Democratic nominating contests. The results all but guarantee a repeat of the 2020 election. Both men appear poised to frame the election as an existential test for the future of the country as they head towards a rematch that will likely be just as heated as their last contest 4 years ago.
We have no choice because November 5th is right around the corner. November 5th is going to go down as the single most important day in the history of our country. And we want to have unity, and we're going to have unity, and it's going to happen very quickly. And I have been saying lately, success will bring unity to our country. And frankly, our country is dying, and we're going to make America great again, greater than ever before. Thank you very much. It's been a big night. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yemen's Houthi group has announced that it carried out a military operation in the Red Sea against U.S. warships. The group's military spokesperson in a statement said Yemen's armed forces targeted 2 U.S. warships with missiles and drones without providing further details. There has been no immediate comment from the U.S. on the statement. The Houthis have been targeting Israeli-owned or operated cargo ships in the Red Sea, carrying goods to and from Israel in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza, which has been under destructive Israeli war supported by the U.S. since October 7 last year.
نفذت القوات المسلحة اليمنية بعون الله تعالى عملية عسكرية نوعية استهدفت من خلالها مدمرتين حربيتين أمريكيتين في البحر الأحمر، وذلك من خلال قواتنا البحرية والقوة الصاروخية وسلاح الجو المسير. وقد تم تنفيذ العملية بعدد من الصواريخ البحرية والطائرات المسيرة. إن القوات المسلحة اليمنية لن تتردد في توسيع عملياتها ضد كافة الأهداف المعادية، وذلك استجابة لنداءات الأحرار من أبناء شعبنا العظيم وأمتنا الإسلامية في تقديم الدعم والإسناد للشعب الفلسطيني. الذي يتعرض حتى هذه اللحظة للعدوان والحصار.
In the world of sports, Ahmed Musa, captain of the Super Eagles, has expressed his willingness to collaborate with the Kano State government to advance sports development in the region. During a courtesy call to Governor Abba Yusuf, Musa highlighted the importance of expanding sports opportunities for Kano's youths beyond just football. He emphasized the need to focus on various sporting disciplines. Musa conveyed his eagerness to contribute towards a promising future for sports in the state. He expressed gratitude for the fruitful discussion and looks forward to working together towards achieving their shared goal of enhancing sports development in Kano. Now in entertainment, Nigeria's federal government has tasked global streaming giant Netflix to support efforts at improving the capacity of Nigerian filmmakers and content producers. Nigeria's Minister of Information, while receiving representatives of Netflix in Abuja, urged the streaming company to project the beauty of the nation's culture to the world and help harness available talent in Nigeria in the media and entertainment sector.
The content that people are creating and generating social and economic revenues from now can transcend physical boundaries. And that means instead of targeting only a local market, it is possible for Nigerians to generate incomes for markets around the world. In our case, just with Netflix alone, you can travel to 189 other countries as a creator, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller.
Have to contribute significantly to content development in this country. I know you are doing that, but please look at that content and do it very well, and especially the local talent, that keep them, harness them, discover them, train them, brush them, and then keep them here so that, of course, they are available for the international community to see, but they are also available for us physically to also utilize.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Binance leaves Nigeria, asks citizens to withdraw assets. We also told you that 6 dead after flash floods in Malawi. Finally, you heard that UN condemns staff killing in South Sudan. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.